What up, y'all? It's Nelly. Y'all know what time it is. You know, we're jumping right back into regular rotation. Now, today, I had plans on doing something that was a little bit more messy. However, it's time to get back to business. We gotta show these people how it's done. But y'all already know how it is. We always get started with a song. Why? Because at the end of the day, always remember what you're loyal to, who you're loyal to, and why you're loyal to them. But let's get it popping. You know what I'm saying? And like the person that put me on this song will forever be my favorite human.
Loyalty, loyalty a lie when you ain't never. Loyalty a lie when you ain't never really trust nobody. I got plans for me, you ain't here, I guess you ain't it. Sin, keep rumbling the trauma like I'm Tyson. Been through all the drama, baby, I ain't tryna wife you. Cause you know this shit been over with. Yeah, my time has been running out. Yeah, you know this shit been over with.
Okay?
My time has been running out.
Moving
on my own, I know that I can never pull wrong. Baby, that's why I go in the booth and go and make these songs. So the bitch be careful with me, yeah. Ain't never tripping about your ex situations. Just treat me like I'm more than that. Just treat me like I'm more than that. I'm coming straight up out the mind. I'm still with it if I gotta break a bill with you. Just deal with it if they decide to burn the bridges. Don't put it on the floor. Do you even know the code? Praise God, cause he gon' give me more. I told him to be careful with me, yeah. Cause I'm the one that get you bitches turned up on the weekend. Tired of being the one that's always there when they don't got nobody. I know she ain't leaving, she just want me to feel her heart. Want me to feel how she feel, just try to leave a mark.
Nelly always leave a mark. It's either unicorn or
Moving
John
on
or
my own, I know that I can never pull wrong. Baby, that's why I go in the booth and go and make these songs. Bitch, be careful with me, yeah. Ain't never tripping about your ex situations. Just treat me like I'm more than that. Just treat me like I'm more than that. Ain't nothing like your ex situations.
It's always
so much more to the story, but I really don't want to get in that.
But
just hit a pull and maybe give them swag. Rather talk about my future cause it's coming fast. You know you thinking wrong if you ever thought I was last. In love with all my bitches, see the ones that's doing bad. Why should I do the sins when they push me to the edge? I feel like they just want me to crash.
They always want you to crash out because they know
so yeah, for
what
sure, I
you
gotta
do.
keep it G, keep it street, keep it G forever rolling with my
I don't
peace.
roll with
I been this
nobody,
way since they enrolled me in elementary.
Why?
They just want me to crash.
Cause they all straight to the
I'm
grass
on the
out
way,
there.
you know this SRT swerving and out. Ooh, 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 ooh. It's always
It's
good
always
vibes
good
with me,
vibes with
sometimes I
Nelly.
act a
That's why they be
fool.
following.
Still prove 'em wrong.
I ain't proving nobody wrong.
Right back in my zone. Loyalty, loyalty,
Loyalty a lot
when you ain't never. Loyalty a lot when you ain't never really trust
That
nobody.
part.
I got plans for me, you ain't here, I guess you ain't invited. Keep rumbling the
never
trauma like
invited.
I'm Tyson. Been through all the
If
drama,
you not
baby,
out
I
here
ain't tryna
rumbling
wife ya.
trauma,
You know this shit been
you
over
gonna
with.
let them win. Don't
Yeah,
let them
my
win.
time has been running out. Yeah, you know this shit been over with.
Okay, this shit been
My
over
time has
with.
been running out.
We gonna end that right there because I could listen to Zay all motherfucking day. Y'all know how that goes. But what up? Like y'all know, typical handle talk time with the Don Nelly. One thing you're gonna notice on every last stream I have, every last handle I had to pretty much start over except on my YouTube channel. Everything is your underscore highness underscore Don. Now we're going to get into why I had to change it. Today's topic, we're going to talk about community standards and guidelines, and here's why we're going to talk about community standards and guidelines. I explained to y'all like my intentions with hopping back on here was definitely to I wanted to like, what do we say that, fight the bully. Like, you can't let them win. If you let them win, like basically you have no voice. However, one thing I realized about people where I'm from, and like any of you that follow my YouTube, y'all was on my prior TikToks, Instagrams before they got taken. Y'all know I'm from Philadelphia. I currently reside in Texas. But I'm just going to jump into a short backstory as in why we're getting into the community standards and guidelines today. You guys are aware my husband cheated. Been fully transparent about it. The person that he cheated with gave him an incurable STD. Now, being fully transparent about that as well. Now, in situations like this, when you're going through like divorce, you're going through like any form of like a change of a dynamics in families, other parties are supposed to what? You're supposed to know how to conduct yourself as a woman or as a man, vice versa, as in how, like, whom did the cheating, who's responsible for the infidelity, all of that. However, in my case, of course, that was not the case. If any of you follow me from last year, if any of you kept up with the podcast from last year, you guys know I went through a lot with my family and my siblings last year. And that was a lot on me. I felt like I came online, I was fully transparent about like, just like the hurdles of going through different situations in life when you have family members that have not progressed. And of course, that's not bullying. Of course, that's not harassing. At the end of the day, we all have family members that just did not amount to nothing in life, and amount to nothing career-wise, amount to nothing. Like, a lot of women nowadays, they think men hold the value to their status. So they'll run and get married, rather if the person that they're running to get married to hold that status, but it's just to say over another female, oh yeah, I have this that's better than you. Which, excuse me, is dumb. But of course, this is just the society that we live in. And especially coming from Philadelphia, that's just how it is. So jumping back into my own situation, I've been very like public about like my divorce behind the disrespect that came from the woman that he cheated with. Now, mind you, in our situation, of course, we broke up while I was pregnant. I was very transparent about that as well. And we broke up while I was pregnant because the woman did give him an incurable STD. Now, fast forwarding, like, of course, they got back in a relationship with each other, which once you get back into a relationship with somebody after a situation like that, by all means, like, just do you. Versus this person, we're gonna nickname her as Samantha, because Samantha's levels of stalking and harassing is impeccable. And when I say it's impeccable, not only did Samantha rack up assault charges, stalking charges, and harassment charges, like, against herself, like involving herself in, my divorce. And that's what I'm saying. Like, when it comes to women, especially, women don't know how to just play the background. And I feel like it's because, and no, we're not using hate speech. However, if someone's occupation is being a stripper and that's all they were their entire life, that's just who you are. Like, you don't have nothing else. Like, normally when you go to work or you go to there for an interview, they say, hey, I see, not only did you go to Yale College, you went to a fine high school. If the only thing that's on your resume is, hey, yeah, you graduated from, Westchester High School, but after that you did nothing but work in a local strip club, this is your resume. Your resume, rather if you, like, you can try to change it because, again, we all lie on our resume from time to time to what? Get us to that next job. But if your only experience on your resume is twerking, that's who you are. So, let's jump into the community standards and guidelines. I would say since last September, like, this human, not only did she take to come on social media, and she throws a lot of indirect jabs. And one thing I can't stand is for someone to throw indirect jabs, but then when you directly say something to them, like, they'll constantly report your page. And for me, because I've lost business pages, I lost podcast pages, I lost pages with over, like, my recent Instagrams, like, I've been wilding out in terms of like my behavior online the past couple of months, just out of pure rage, because at the end of the day, like, me personally going through this, I'm like, yo, I'm rent free on this girl page. And what I mean by I'm rent free on this girl page, this woman she done got my birth certificate in social from my husband, posted it on social media. But what she does is she posted on her fake page and then she tags her real page to it. Not only did she do that, she took to using, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Fling or with a Bang app. I was never familiar with it until this woman took my phone number. She went on there, she stole my photos off of social media. Anybody who follows me on social media on any platform, you guys know I had, cosmetic surgery after, I had my 7-year-old. So after I had my 7-year-old, I went for 3 rounds. I mean, I look amazing. I really do. And I tend to show off my body. Now, does it give prostitution? Absolutely not. It gives show off. One thing about us as humans, when you buy a new house, you go online, you showcase it because that's an accomplishment for you. When you get a new job at that place that you've been wanting to work your entire life, you show that off. That's an accomplishment. When you get married, you do what? You show off photos and different things like that because what? It's a life accomplishment. For this woman, and I say this with no respect to the person, but respect to the guidelines that's online. She belongs in an insane asylum, and here's why. You cannot be on your social media page and you're constantly attacking my motherhood. I told you guys, she posted my birth certificate social. She posted, and mind you, she only had my job information, and I work in clinical pharmacy. Outside of me streaming and just posting and just I call myself Unicorn Don. Now it's the Your Highness the Don. But, I be in my own world a lot of the times. And it's I'll post cute photos, sexy photos. It doesn't give you the right to stealing my photos, to using my photos on these websites, soliciting me to get raped and robbed. And when I'm saying that, I'm speaking about my own experience from this human. We can't even call her a human, and that's not hate speech. It just is what it is. It speaks on character. Not only did she use my photos and she solicited me to get raped and robbed, I will post all of that. It will be a link on my YouTube. The link will take you to my Patreon. And my Patreon has it all on there. It'll be on my website as well. On my website, in order to stay in and know when to go, I definitely have a Discord for whomever's on there. But I have my own rules and guidelines. The moment you come on trying to question me about this specimen, I will block you. I give this specimen no form of back and forth dialogue because it's not a person. At the end of the day, as a woman, women are not supposed to what? Disclose other women's addresses. I don't care how you argue, how you fight. Once you get to disclosing a woman's address, disclosing a woman's phone number, but you're having sex with their dad, their husband, who has kids with that person, and this person has an incurability, it's you should be a little bit more mature. However, not only did she solicitate my address and phone numbers on those websites, but she posted my job ID, my supervisor's email. And as a mother, as a woman, like I stated, I work in pharmacy. I work in clinical pharmacy. You're supposed to have a certain level of what? Respect and morals for yourself, that certain things and certain lines you're not going to cross, because in the eyes of the world, you're portraying it as you want to be in a relationship with this person. But in the real world, when you look at just overall this person's behavior, and like I said, these short little clips, I'm going to jump back into my podcasting bag. So we're going to do short, pre-recorded streams. I'm going to get back into my live streams and we'll go deeper into it. But as a woman, as a human, I sit here and because I've been trying to figure it out. Not only did she get a warrant from assaulting me, not only did she get a warrant from harassing and stalking me, you would think at some point she would be like, you know what, let me just chill out because, I already have to answer to these things. No. What this woman does is she tries to utilize the community standards and guidelines. And this is why, to some degree, I feel like a lot of content creators, whether if you podcast, whether if you game, whether if you stream on YouTube, I do a lot of streaming, I game, I podcast. Like I said, I fell off behind this situation, but it's time to jump back into it. My thing is, who is monitoring the reports? Because not only does this woman has personal documentations in regards to court documents, in regards to my kids, my divorce on her page. It's like she'll sit there and report my content all day long, even like with my YouTube. She done been trying to get my YouTube strike for the past few weeks. My thing is, if it's freedom of speech, and like even when it comes to, oh yeah, she runs about 4, like, pages of me on Instagram, whereas though she steals my photos and she just talks trash about me to people. My thing is, you would think there's more than just AI that's monitoring these things. So what I want to jump into next, because I don't want to run out of time, because as I stated, a lot of my streams, they're going to be short, or they're going to be a lot of them. Let's jump into the community standards and guidelines for Meta. Now, we all know who runs Meta. Meta is ran by Instagram and Facebook, correct? So, Meta community standards and guidelines say, and this is their policy. I believe this is their policy for. Let me just make sure. This is the policy. We're going to say hateful conduct, because this is exactly what's going on. Now, Meta's standard transparency, this is like supposed to be their community standards for hateful conduct. We believe that people use their voice to connect more freely when they don't feel attacked on a day-to-day basis. This is why we don't allow hateful conduct on Facebook, Instagram, or Threads. We define hateful conduct as a direct attack against a person, rather than the concept of that institutes or the basis of what we call protected characteristics: race, ethnicity, I always say that word wrong, national origin, disability, religion, sexual orientation, gender, whatever. We remove dehumanizing speech, allegations of immorality, criminality, slurs. We remove hateful stereotypes. Like, y'all see it. Now, I'm gonna go into. Oh dang! It's on. Shoot. Do I have? You know what's crazy? I think I have it on my flash drive, and I don't. I unplugged my flash drive. Okay, so let me see how I can pull this up real quick. I'm gonna go to Instagram, and I'm not gonna go through too many of this girl conduct, but I need you guys just to see exactly what I'm referring to. And you know what's crazy? I do have her blocked. So let me go to log in, and then I can unblock this person so you guys can see exactly what I'm referencing. Because if you don't see exactly what I'm referencing, then you won't know what I'm talking about. But my main focus for today is who is monitoring these people, because who's monitoring the people that's making the reports? Because at the end of the day, yeah, and I did have her blocked. Let me unblock her. Then I'll share my screen on that one. Hold on. Let me share my screen on this other window. Okay. So wait a minute. Let's try to restart it again. Okay, here's the girl page. Let's see where our time is. Our time is at 10 minutes. Okay, so back to the post. Now, I'm not going to click in any of this girl's stories, but do you see it says the divorce, death threats, HIPAA guidelines, Like my whole thing, all of what's posted on her page is outlined in hateful speech. And it's like at the end of the day, how is this person able to still have a page? So for this specimen, and that's enough camera time for her because she's unimportant. But at the end of the day, I still just wanted to go back into those standard guidelines and procedures for, like, hateful conduct. If we're talking in terms of what hateful conduct is, and like I said, at the end of the day, I'm going to post it onto my Patreon so you guys can just see the level of like just disclosure of information, everything that's on her page. And it's like, who is the person that's behind Meta that's taking the reports? Because everything that's on this specimen page is hateful conduct. And it's like, for her to be able to, like, constantly report things that's on my page, it's like I made 24 hours talk trash, because at the end of the day, that's what a decent woman does. We're going to talk trash. We're going to leave it inside of like our stories. And once it's out of our stories, 24 hours later, that's done. Now let's jump into their bullying and harassment. Bullying and harassment comes in many forms. And mind y'all, if y'all seen the page, y'all also see that this woman has a warrant for all of this stuff as well. But context and intent of matter of what we allow for people to share. Now, I started wrong. Okay, so here we go. We distinguish between public figures and private individuals because we want to allow them to discuss, which is often critical of people, like basically of like people in like the natural eye every day. My whole thing is, if everything that this woman is posting is constant malicious, it's constant unwanted, because not just me have reported it was so many different people that have reported it. I don't understand who's monitoring these standard guidelines and procedures. And not even just that, like, let's jump into like another one, because again, at the end of the day, this is why people who are content creators, we have to come up with a way to hold these platforms accountable for specimens like the girl. Because at the end of the day, this individual, she has nothing to wear as though her resume would say, oh yeah, she should be proud of this, she should be proud of that. She has nothing to be proud of. So the only waking thing that she thinks holds value is the fact that she slept with a married man and gave him an incurable STD. However, when it boils down to us going to court, he's throwing her under the bus. Like, he had to, like, full transparency. Last week, my attorney hit me up, and my attorney was like, hey, Chanel, I got to bring this to your attention. So I said, okay, bring it to my attention. Yeah, your husband's attorney is trying to bring up in court that you disclosed his status online. So I said, so did his, his so-called girlfriend. So what's the difference? I said, she showed PEF paperwork. I showed my church stuff. My whole thing is, if she was being a woman and she mind her business and stayed in, a marriage that God placed her in, if she mind her business in terms of kids that God allowed her to have, which she has no kids and which she is not married, I don't understand why she's involved in anything, or how, his attorney even tried to bring up the fact that I disclosed his status. So I said, well, she disclosed his status too. She just posted PDF paperwork. So mind you, my attorney sent me, of course, like what his lawyer was trying to blackmail him about. So I'm texting my girlfriend, and I'm like, yo, send me those posts that's on her page so I can show it to my lawyer real quick. So then, as she's sending it to me, I showed it to my lawyer, and he like, yo, I am tired of this girl. And mind y'all, I done went through this. I didn't explain in the beginning of the video. I done went through this girl posting my address multitude of times. I done went through temporarily, like, losing guardianship of my kids behind her and him lying to CPS. And then, of course, you got to go through technicalities. the CPS worker that removed my kids didn't follow due process, didn't follow protocol. So every time we go into court, I got to deal with the fact of they fired this person, they fired that person, they have nobody else to go back and forth with it. And anybody that ever been in domestic relations court, you know it's a waiting game, especially in situations like this. But did it stop her from going online with hate speech, posting about my kids? And mind you, and that'll go into tomorrow's conversation. Not only did it not stop her from going online talking about, like, you know, our private situation, she posted my kid next to a complete different stranger. And it's weird because it's like typically as little girls like that, but like, oh yeah, look what this person did, I'm better than this person. But as a grown woman, to place somebody's kid next to a complete stranger that don't nobody know, but then at the same time you're reporting my pages, but then trying to make it out like you're an innocent person. It's like, for him, if y'all go tap into my Patreon on my website, all this stuff is on it. It was random strangers on Facebook and Instagram coming at my ex-husband like, yo, for you to sit around and allow her to do these things. He tried to make it out like, oh, Chanel's lying. She like, Chanel not lying. Chanel not even the one that's texting her. I'm texting this girl. And this girl is talking about your kids, which she publicly posted my kid next to a complete person that was no association with me at all. I don't know him. Posted my child next to his kid. And I'm like, yo, I don't even know this person. And not for nothing, my ex-boyfriend is Caucasian. So again, you're immature. But again, this comes from that community. That community of people should never intertwine with actual everyday people. And it's so sad and it's so pathetic because, again, jumping back to these standard guidelines and procedures, and I can go on and on about like what the guidelines and what the procedure says versus what AI is doing. And it's like somebody needs to hold them accountable, because for me, of course, when she posted my birth certificate and social, I had to file a separate report. When she was using my information on those websites trying to solicitate me to get robbed, that's a separate report. This woman even called the cops to my house and said I was on FaceTime with her and I threatened to kill her with a gun. And my door got kicked in. I got detained and everything until they called her back. And she answered the phone. And mind you, when she answered the phone, she hung up because they called her from a complete different number. Then the woman went online cursing out the San Antonio police because they issued her a warrant as well for the constant stalking and harassing. My thing is, and this is how I'm going to wrap up today's topic on community standards and guidelines. You're definitely going to be able to see more about it later, but we got to hop back into the content bag, more shorter content, constant, because now I got to get all my platforms back up. However, it just brings you back to who's monitoring these people, because to tell somebody, oh yeah, like, you know, eventually she's going to get caught and eventually, you know, she's going to have to answer to all those things, it doesn't handle the damage that she's doing in between time. So make sure you click the link. Make sure y'all stay in tune. Like I said, we hopping back into regular bag of potting, talking about Nelly's perspective on things, you know what I'm saying? And anyone who comes on my platform, and I'm making this clear, and have anything to say about that specimen, you will be blocked. I refuse to go back and forth with anybody about a person who's not human. However, stay loyal to you, stay true to you, and you know what I'm saying? Like, just be you. Don't let nobody steal your shine. Don't let nobody steal your light.
You know this shit been over with.
It's been over with.
My time has been running out. Moving on my own, I know that I can never pull wrong.
You
Baby,
can always
that's why I go
pull
in the
wrong.
booth
You
and
got
go
a
and
voice
make these songs. So
regardless.
the bitch be careful with me.
Tap in,
Never
click the
tripping
new
about
link.
your ex situation.
I don't trip about nobody, cause
Just
I'm
treat
the
me like
dime.
I'm more than that. I'm coming straight up out the mind. I'm still with it if I gotta break a bill with you.
Don't break a bill with nobody that's not loyal. You know what I'm saying? Pay attention to the clues. Because it's always the ones you think will never do it. But God always got you. That's why it's like, what? Shorty mad because she thought I was going to stumble. But I never stumbled because I always leave my mark. God always got Nelly, okay? Moving on my own, I know that I can never prove wrong, baby. That's why I go in the camera and make a baby. You understand? Okay? Because if you're not, you gonna learn. It's always more to the story, y'all. Don't ever forget it, okay? Get into it. Don't shy your voice out for nobody. I don't care how hard it's coming. You know why? Because it's all gonna show. They always want you to crash, but don't. I'm out, y'all.